look, a lot of these guys go up there and they're, paid off. But a lot of times, like if you're going to state house and state senate, those guys don't make enough money to really be paid off by the government. They do need to actually collect another paycheck legitimately right at the same time. Because if you,
I don't know about how legitimate it is.
Well, not legitimately. Publicly. Let me just say it publicly.
Publicly.
You need to be able to get more funds publicly.
They can't live off what they. I mean, if you have a family or anything and you're traveling a lot, you can't actually live off the
What's
state.
the salary for a state legislature? It's like $23,000 a year? $28,000?
If you're a state legislature. And the Speaker of the House, I think, is at about $40,000.
Right.
Yeah. So, now we talk a lot. These guys don't actually have real jobs, though, coming out of it.
Oh, no.
And you got to give it up to the Miami Herald. Another good story out there. And again, the only reason the Miami Herald's doing this, though, and let's make sure that we're clear. The only reason the Miami Herald's doing stories like this is because Will Weatherford's a Republican. Not because they're trying to expose corruption. It's because Weatherford's a Republican.
Right.
You don't think they do this story on a Dem?
No, I don't. I don't think that they. I mean, maybe I'm wrong,
Listen,
but I don't think so.
I think you could go down the list on both sides and find this same instance. What they're saying Will Weatherford is doing. I'm sure you could pick out 50, 70 of state legislators that are doing the same thing.
Yeah. Well, there's also something very telling. And again, Florida Speaker's mystery job. Florida House Speaker Will Weatherford is now struggling to answer a simple question that has bedeviled many politicians. What exactly do you do for a living? And I'll go down to the story a little bit here. No, actually, you got to hear all this stuff. Actually, it's really kind of funny. During his 6 years in the legislature, the young Wesley Chapel Republican has filed reports stating that his major source of his personal income as a company called Breckenridge Enterprises. Now, according to the Tampa Tribune, Breckenridge hasn't been registered in the state of Florida since 2007. Okay, so
they haven't even been in business for 6 years.
Not even in the state, not registered in the state of Florida. So when the newspaper recently asked about the speaker's role at Breckenridge, he said he isn't actually employed by that firm. The company he really works for is a Texas construction outfit, because if you've ever seen his hands, you know he's a construction guy, called Diamond K Corp. He said for which Breckenridge handles the payroll duties.
Wait, so does he work in payroll?
No, he does not. Except it doesn't use the name Diamond K in Florida. Here it goes by T King Construction Incorporated. Okay, so look, you're already seeing like this big spider web like already happening. I'm only a couple paragraphs
but wait,
in.
There's more.
He's digging deeper. He's digging deeper right now.
It gets even worse.
All right, whatever.
I'm waiting for a job description somewhere in here.
Whatever the company is calling itself, it paid Weatherford $52,000 last year for unspecified consulting services. The speaker's uncle, an investor in Diamond K, said Weatherford works on an unsupervised schedule doing, well, something.
Something. They can't actually pinpoint what he does or his schedule.
Weatherford also reported $31,500 in income from Red Eagle Group, which he said he founded in 2011 because he aspired to own a small business.
Oh, he's a small business owner.
He's an aspiring small business owner. It's great.
Wait, you can get paid for that? Just being an aspiring small business owner? Without actually becoming one? Without actually doing anything?
Oh, no,
this is great. His small business owner status.
Yeah.
Okay.
Red Eagle's money actually comes from a corporation called Simpson Environmental Services, which specializes in asbestos removal. Now, I know what you're saying, Simpson. Boy, that sounds familiar. Simpson Environmental is owned by State Senator Wilton Simpson of Tribbley, who said Weatherford works diligently for the company but doesn't punch a time clock. Well, because his job is up in Tallahassee. The speaker's duties are somewhat fuzzy, but apparently they do not include personally peeling the dangerous asbestos from buildings.
The speaker's duties are somewhat fuzzy. Let's help the folks listening out with what the speaker's duties are. To pass special favors and ensure legislation that directly benefits this whole convoluted chain of companies.
Wilton Simpson,
or perhaps the stakeholders. Let's keep using that word because it's a really great word. The stakeholders in these companies, other ventures, branching out. I wouldn't be surprised if there's some path back through this chain of corporations that they have a vested interest in perhaps submerge land in Coffee Pot Bayou. Yeah, I mean, these are the kind of connections you can actually make if you dig deep enough. The corruption is so disgusting. It's absolutely horrendous what goes on. This guy is just a perfect example of it.
You know what? I got to tell you, you kind of shot your load a little early for the outrage, okay?
Oh, there's actually more?
Oh, boy.
But wait, there's more?
But
Man, this
wait,
is like an
there's more.
infomercial.
Well, and you have to say, Wilton Simpson.
Get your corruption, only $19.95. But if you act now, you'll get two. I say two corrupt legislators.
Well, and this is what's happened. Is Wilton Simpson, and for people who are, we know him because he's in our area, State Senator Wilton Simpson was not always a state senator. He's fairly new. He just got elected in 2012. But he has been several state legislators over the years have worked for one of Wilton Simpson's companies. In fact, almost every state legislator that has come from this area has worked for Wilton Simpson.
What a surprise.
Boy, guy sounds like a kingmaker. All right, so being Speaker of the House is a big-time gig, but it pays a relatively modest $41,000 a year. Still, House speakers, now this is where we're going into the history of it, typically get richer than the job because they're offered well-paying outside positions with clout-seeking companies or universities where they seldom have to show up. By the time Marco Rubio finished his profitable tenure as House Speaker, he was pulling down more than $400,000 a year. He definitely wasn't putting in a 40-hour work week with all the folks who were paying him, or he would have had no time to run for the House. Rubio's successor, Ray Sampson, didn't fare so well. Sampson quit as Speaker in 2009 after it was revealed that he'd helped steer $25 million in questionable funding to Northwest Florida State College, which was paying him $110,000 a year for, well, you know, something.
A consulting job with zero job description.
Yeah.
That's what it says in the story. Well, something.
Oh.
So Weatherford, one of the rising stars in the state GOP, clearly needs emergency assistance in polishing his financial disclosure forms.
Or a real job.
Yeah, the Florida Center, or a jail cell. The Florida Center for Investigative Reporting recently revealed that the Speaker is a founding member and ex-director of a Texas firm that has received $826,676 from Citizens Property Insurance, Florida's beleaguered state-run insurance company. Now,
Hey, what a shock there.
Yeah, and you got to remember that there was a deal that was just done to pull some stuff out of Citizens that were more of the prime deals to leave the taxpayers on the hook, but for the profits to go somewhere else. Again, socialize the losses, capitalize the profits.
Right.
Weatherford has never made public his connection with U.S. Cat Adjusters, which is a contractor for Citizens. As House Speaker, he's in a position to control legislation that affects homeowners and windstorm insurance, and for many Florida citizens remains the only affordable, though barely, choice. Records show that Weatherford's wife, Courtney, replaced him on the board of U.S. Cat Adjusters. Again, his wife's in on it.
Oh, well, no
2010.
collusion there.
He said in a written statement a few days ago that neither he nor Courtney have received a single dollar of income from that company. And again, I don't know how that's possible, but we'll go with it.
Why own a company that you're not profiting from?
Well, I would start checking with his brothers, sisters, nieces, nephews, because I'm betting
or a
they
dog,
did.
or
Yeah,
You know.
somebody got money
He's
out
got
of
the
that deal.
richest kids
Here's
in
the
the
thing.
world.
Yeah.
Do you want to know who owns Wilton Simpson? Do you want to know who owns Will Weatherford?
Wilton Simpson.
Wilton Simpson.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. All I have is the proof in my hand. All I have is the documents that show that there's a big payoff going on. This guy's getting paid. But it's like the mob. Like the mob does this.
And this is not unique to...
Not at all. This,
yeah.
This ain't,
It's not unique to Simpson. It's not unique to Weatherford.
Oh, no.
This is the majority of the people in Tallahassee.
now, don't get me wrong.
It's the majority
They
of them.
do it in different ways. It goes on to the next story. So you're like, wow, it's just Wilton Simpson. He's a bad guy, right? Here's the companies that go along with this. American Traffic Solutions. And
Our
this is-
favorite
yeah, yeah,
company.
yeah.
This is St. Peter's blog, by the
Right.
way. American Traffic Solutions, purveyor of red light. Again, I want to make sure I mention this. St. Peter's blog, not necessarily. This is a pro-establishment blog.
For the most part,
For the most part, this is a pro-establishment blog. They're equal opportunity offenders on both sides, but there's not necessarily left or right.
They're fairly
They're
balanced.
pro-establishment.
Yes.
is what it is.
Yeah, they tend
maybe,
to be.
Maybe.
Oh.
They tend to be a little.
I didn't realize that was something that would be even disagreed upon.
I've seen some decent things on there, too.
Oh, no, you're right. No, Peter has definitely put, Peter Schwartz, who's the purveyor of St. Peter's blog, has put some stuff up there that's that way. But for the most part, he is a pro-establishment guy. Look, I've talked to him on the phone. He's good friends with Corcoran.
Yeah.
Good friends. You think he's going to write anything bad about Corcoran?
Right.
Right. He tends to have some political connections, and whoever
He's got a lot of them.
whoever he has in those connections will not have a story written about them in a negative light.
Yeah, and it goes along both sides. So this is American Traffic Solutions, purveyor of red light cameras. Now, there is no legislation that's going on right now in Tallahassee that I know of to ban the use of red light cameras. Do you guys know of any?
There hasn't been any filed yet.
No.
Okay.
Of course, we'll, folks close to the Libertarian Party and the Liberty Network,
Liberty First Network.
Liberty First Network are going to be introducing legislation in the next
Yeah, they're gonna
session.
try
But
to get it
I don't
done.
think there's anything yet.
No, I think out of there's only 31, and normally there's about 2,000 bills filed. There's only 31 at this point because it is a little early filing. You'll start seeing a lot of filing next month.
Yeah.
But there's nothing on red light cameras as of yet, but I'm sure there will be.
So, but American Traffic Solutions. So this is one company,
Oh, this is the company.
the company here in Florida. They've paid $289,000 in lobbying fees in 2013. So this year, from January to August, they've spent $289,000. So during the first quarter of 2013, ATS spent as much as $109,000 on legislative representation and $59,000 on executive representation, totaling as much as $169,000. During the second quarter, which ended in June, ATS spent as much as $89,000 on legislative representation and $29,000 on executive, totaling as much as $119,000. Cumulatively, ATS has spent $289,000 during the first half of 2013 on legislative and executive lobbyists.
Now, does this story include also the campaign contributions?
No, this is
that
just
they've made?
lobbying.
This is just lobbying.
Well, hold on a second here.
Because I know they've made huge
To
campaign
advance its
contributions.
goals this year, ATS has retained the who's who of lobbying firms. Ballard Partners, which a lot of these people are. A lot of these companies are actually staffed by former politicians.
Oh, and some current, it looks like.
Some current, yeah, exactly. We were about to get to that. So, Capital City Consulting, Corcoran and Johnson,
Corcoran?
and Southern
You mean-
Strategy Group, to name a few.
Corcoran, like the next Speaker of the House, Corcoran?
Could be. Could very well be. I don't know if I like Jell-O in my pudding.
So, let me get this straight.
Hold on, and I'm not done.
Oh, but
All right,
wait,
we gotta come back.
there's more.
Synergy Consulting, led by Cynthia Henderson, Lewis Bates, Becker and Polikoff, and Chris Floyd and Associates have also added to the ATS mission.
That's a whole lot of lobbying firms, by the way.
Yeah, that's an army of lobbying firms.
Yeah.
So, but one of the key lobbying firms is currently the lobbying firm owned by the next guy in line to be Speaker of the House.
Oh,
I
sure,
believe
it's
so.
it's
Now,
probably owned by
now
his
again,
wife.
I haven't done all
Maybe
the
a niece, nephew.
I haven't done all the
brother,
research
sister.
on Corcoran and Johnson.
Right.
But I'll tell you.
There's not many Corcorans floating around the state.
Yeah, it sounds like too large a coincidence. So, it would be interesting to see if there's actually a connection there or not. I quite frankly, knowing the corruption that goes on in Tallahassee, I would be surprised if there was not a connection to him.
Oh well, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
listen, it's not like Smith,
Right.
This isn't a common name, and I'm sure that the Corcoran in Corcoran and Johnson is related at some point somehow to Corcoran, the next Speaker of the House.
Yeah.
Because right now the Speaker of the House is Will Weatherford. He's term limited out in 2014.
Right.
So once he's term limited out, he's going to probably run for Senate or some other position somewhere. But they've already chosen the next Speaker of the House, although I don't know how they choose the next Speaker of the House because the guy's got to win another election. But they just assume you're going to vote for whoever they give you. And when you do, it'll be Richard Corcoran will be the next Speaker of the House.
Right. Well, they determine it by they take a poll amongst the lobbying firms, and then all
Corcoran and Johnson won.
yeah, And then all the corporations who actually have the legislators on the payroll make the decision who's going to be the next Speaker of the House. Because all those consultants... In fact, should we just stop calling them, representatives and senators and just call them consultants?
Well,
because all of them are consulting, with no job description and a big salary for someone who has interests in, Florida government.
And you have to
and
wonder,
benefits from it.
When you say, well, he's a consultant, he's a consultant that's making the laws that would either make or break you. So what kind of consulting work could he be doing? And that's... I never understood why people don't get it right away. Why people don't see this right away. Well, so what? He's a consultant for that company. What do you think he's consulting on with? What advice do you think he's giving that company?
Right. Yeah. Here's how we push your your pork legislation through. Here's how we push your bill that is benefiting your company through. That's what they're consulting on.
Right.
That's exactly. Oh, you need a special favor from government? Here you go. Oh, you need a little grant money? Here you go.
What other advice could they be giving?
Right.
If you're listening to this, you are the resistance.